Well, hello. Welcome to the Tale 3 Cabins. Getting ready to head down to Tennessee early in the morning, about 4 a.m. So we're packing up the car. A little concerned about this king-size bed I'm loading in here. It looks like I'm not going to be able to close the tailgate. So I'm not too thrilled about leaving it open for an 8-hour drive on the freeway. But I'm going to try to snap it real good and hope for the best. So come check it out.
So I got much more to load here, but I'm going to strap it down best I can and put this tarp around the back. Flash forward now to Tennessee, and we did end up with about 5 hours of constant rain on the way down, which, you know, when you're driving on the freeway in the rain, you got all that mist coming from the trucks and your back tires, and things were a little bit damp, but it wasn't too bad. So Willow and I are going to unpack here, and I carry everything to the door, and then Karen brings everything into the house, so we're not tracking any unnecessary mud or dirt throughout the cabin. And then I'm going to start my chores here. I'm going to empty out the hot tub. I brought another filter to change out. Now after every rental, the cleaners change out the water and they hose down the filter, but every time I come down, I usually swap the filter out or clean the old one. Our last trip was 7 months ago, so we accumulated quite a bit of discarded charcoal from our grill. And luckily, they didn't leave the lid off, which a lot of times I try to empty this out and it's like plaster Paris set in there. But it looks pretty easy to get out, and this will be a quick chore here. So it's an 8-hour ride for us, and it takes up a good part of the day by the time we get there. And take Willow for a little walk. I'm going to check on the pool. Our HOA is putting a new pool in, and it should be a nice little addition in the summertime for people in the area of our cabin. Willow is known just about everywhere we go for being the umbrella dog. Well, it's the next morning. We got a call from the furniture place where we ordered a mattress from that they just left the showroom. So I'm trying to disassemble the bed here. It's still kind of early in the morning. And if I'm lucky, try to reassemble the king size bed, and maybe they could just put the mattresses right inside. So I couldn't remember if this was put together with screws way back when, and apparently it was with nails. So I'm going to have to mar a little bit of this bed to get these nails out so we can take it back home. So that was awfully close to a window. So they got here a little earlier than I expected. So I'm going to load these mattresses, just set them to the side, and I'm going to continue dismantling and then reassembling a king size bed.
Too fast.
got this little project out of the way pretty early in the morning, and today seems to be the pick day of our trip when we look at the weather forecast. It's mid-60s, beautiful, brilliant sunshine. A lot of the trees are peaking up in the mountains, and we just couldn't pass it up. We had to take a ride up into the national park. So a little information about the Great Smoky Mountains. It's one of the few parks in the national park system that has no entrance fee. We just so happen to live next to another one in Cuyahoga Valley that doesn't have an entrance fee either. And we're on one of the trails here, one of the only two in the park that you could walk your dog. And I wish I could harness this energy in that dog's tail and power our house. This area is called Oconaluftee, and like I said, it's one of the few places you could walk your dog in the park. The other place is the Gatlinburg Trail on the other side of the park. And we like coming here. It's an old farmstead that's been preserved. There's a visitor center nearby, a lot of fly fishing nearby in the river here. And one interesting thing is there's elk reintroduced into the park, and a lot of times we come here to see if we see any elk sightings. So we're going to find a bunch of rubs on the trees, which means they're nearby, and the rut is definitely in full swing. It's always an amazing sight to see these animals, and we're just going to make a few more stops on some of the overlooks here. It definitely was a good decision to come into the park. A lot of times in the back of your head you think you have so much to do and maybe you should be back there doing some work, but it's never a bad decision to stop and take it all in. And the sunsets from our cabin are not too shabby either. So having a rental cabin also means that you have to go through and check and see what was broken since the last time you got here. I still don't understand why people use metal on a non-stick frying pan, but we end up replacing those almost annually. And I do supply plastic spatulas just for that purpose. Now, last time I was here 7 months ago, I fixed this same door. The handle was kind of loose, and this time I brought some Loctite, and I'm going to see hopefully if that's going to make it so I don't have to retighten this every time. I don't know if it's just the use of it, if it's, sometimes we get a good wind pushing against that door, and maybe it just vibrates a lot, but hopefully this will seize it up, and we'll find out next time I come down. This is new to me. All these channels where the screens, it looks like there's like a moth nest in there, and so I cleaned them all out, and gonna get the vacuum, and the first time I've seen that. So I'm messing with these windows. Another thing I want to do is go outside and reposition some of our security cameras. We've got some new cabins that are going up that burned down previously along with ours a couple years ago, and they're starting to go up. And I kind of just want to keep an eye on their progress, and it also lets me see what the road conditions are like, especially in the wintertime, and gives me a heads up on the weather, and might even be helpful for the owner of that cabin if they need some information to see how things are going. A lot of people don't live locally here, so it's nice to keep an eye on things when you can't be around. So the time we were here, and I've been talking to the renters previously to us, and they mentioned that the construction across the way really hasn't bothered them. It was still been peaceful around there, and I'm happy about that because I've heard some horror stories about some other areas where it's causing quite a disruption. So I'm adding a few more outlets. I added some of these when we first built the cabin, and they're just updated AC outlets that have a built-in USB port. As more and more people are bringing their gadgets with them and taking up plug space, this will help out by the nightstands of the beds. Another thing that I'm pretty proactive about is changing batteries. Even though the last time we came here, the batteries are probably still good in a lot of things, I just change them every time we come down, just so there's no issue. Especially with the door locks, you don't want one of the locks to lose its battery power in the middle of a rental. Looks like this is a good time to take care of some of the mineral buildup that comes on the shower heads. And then this is another thing that I change just about every time. So it's been 7 months, and it definitely looks like the air filters had seen some pretty good dust flowing through it. So our cleaners always do a good job, but when we come down, we try to get some of those areas that maybe just get overlooked or really maybe not is in their job description when they come to clean the cabin in between rentals. After a good amount of chores during the day, we headed out into town for the evening just to stretch our legs, take the dog for a walk, and enjoy some of the scenery. This area is called the Island, and it's just full of shops and restaurants and nice walkways, and certainly a lot of touristy things to do too. But it's a nice place to get out. A lot of times they have live music here, and it's probably just a 10-minute drive from here to our cabin. The next morning, there was a celestial event going on, and Mercury was supposed to be passing in front of the sun. And I kind of pulled out my old $89 refurbished Canon camera and a piece of Mylar, and I used it during the eclipse a couple years ago. And I was able to actually capture that's Mercury right there going in front of the sun. So I mentioned the eclipse earlier, and this is a few of the pictures taken, and we were fortunate enough to um, go to an area of the Smoky Mountains that was just sectioned off by the park, and you could only get in there if you had a ticket. And these are some of the pictures I took with that same camera, and I documented kind of the whole event, and I'm going to leave a link up here up on the right if you want to check that out. I strongly suggest if you're around in 2024 and you find a place to go see the eclipse in April of that year, do anything you can. Go try to figure out where the weather's going to be clearest, and you won't be disappointed. Okay, back to the Smokies. It's another nice day, so we're taking advantage of it. Tomorrow the bottom's supposed to drop out. We're under a winter storm advisory, and the temperature is going to drop, and we're going to get a couple inches of snow. We usually set up the Christmas decorations during our November trip, and the weather did not disappoint in trying to get us in the Christmas spirit. Another pre-cold weather ritual is I block these openings up. They're vents. They're supposed to be controlled with like a moisture type duct, but I believe it's code. But it's not heated down here, and all the water pipes are down here, and I feel better just blocking them off for the winter.
Well, things are winding down here. Our friends left this morning. It was a little chilly out, about 14 degrees. They made it down from the mountain okay. We were a little concerned with some of the snow and ice, but it didn't seem to be an issue. Sidewalks and the ground and the asphalt is still warm. So we got one day left. We're just doing some odds and ends, and then we're going to be out of here. I got to pack up the car. We're going to put that king size bed on the back. I'm sorry, the queen size, and see if we can get the mattress and the headboard and all our stuff to go home. I don't think we're going to encounter any rain like we did when we came down. So hopefully all goes well. Thanks for watching. Hope you subscribe to these videos and keep an eye on us. Take care.